Well, hi there. All my four subscribers and Substack land. This is kind of an experiment, but I'm going to speak to an issue that I was writing about to some degree, and I'm still working on that piece. Jim Palmer keeps throwing these things out that I'm still trying to integrate into something. Well, I'm anyway. This whole this issue around the Epstein files and the fact that out of that we've now seen Deepak Chopra involved and being a predator. To which I say, cut the man off, quit buying his stuff, and so forth, so on. And I know that raises questions for people because Lisa Rankin, who really pulled back the cover, it mentioned names, and one of them was Byron Katie, which surprised me to a little bit. I learned that lesson back sometime when I was in the church, and I saw cult behavior and uh, among a lot of men, and so I pulled back the cover a little bit, and the local elders, who were my teachers, didn't care for that. In any event, um, one of the things that jumps out at me is I think this is partially true in the trauma healing field as well. We have a lot of people who, and she calls it the guru betrayal, and so I'm going to borrow that word. A little less so. We tend to pedestalize, and that's okay, I guess, to some degree. But what I see, and I think this is true in both the spiritual wellness field that Lissa belongs to, and then there's the trauma healing field, and they have some intersections and stuff like that to some degree overlap. But we have that, and I know some of those people. I've heard. I have no firsthand experience. Some of these people have been like Levine, Berselli, Heller, to Stanley Kellerman, Thomas Hanna. Um, there could be any number of others. So branching into uh, various fields that spring off of some of what I've learned about trauma healing over the years. And there is that, what I see more, I think, from my perspective, is the snake oil stuff. You can heal your trauma in 2 sessions. Well, all that tells me is that there's a certain level of ignorance and about human healing, about human biology, all kinds of stuff. And there is a lot of that. And I think there is something else that's driving that, though, and that's trying to, you know, promote yourself so you can get views, watches, snitches, snatches, whatever, and then go to a publisher, make money, hit the speaking circuit, that kind of thing, that kind of thing. And it's all horseshit until it falls apart. I've heard it with Faster EFT, and there's several others that I've been presented at me. Yeah, okay. I just don't buy them. And part of that is because I think that my nervous system, my neuroception in particular, my radar, as it will, is online again. It can tell bullshit when it smells it. Sorry, I work 2 farms, so you can't tell me what isn't bullshit and what is. So I think there's a bit of that. And part of the reason I'm grateful is because I never bought anything of Deepak Chopra's or um, I'm not even certain I bought Byron Katie's book. Just the 4 questions were on the website, and anytime I need them, I just go there, take a picture of it, and call it good. I mean, the questions. Anyway, relative on my side, though, is an issue that I get into and I had to go through with my own trauma healing, and that is dealing with the aspect of human experience that we would call spiritual, even though I is there any evidence of a spirit or a soul? No, there is not. And so what do you call that then? But here we have other words though. We have mind, we have consciousness, spirit, soul, so forth and so on. So in a sense, it seems that there's an acknowledgement of an experience that is more than just the material. Okay, cool. That opens up a panorama of things. And in my own experience, I had to go through deconstruction of two. Well, I did my Christian faith because it added to my trauma. And then I later got involved in Buddhism, and life changes. Sometimes you can keep practicing that stuff. And then you might start going, okay, well, why do I need to repeat this a million times? So if you've ever heard "Hail Mary, full of grace," you know, I used to turn on Catholic radio on Sundays in Minnesota, and these guys are ripping off something so fast. I, you know the words, and I thought, okay, pointless chatter. You're talking to the sheetrock. Well, they're no different in Buddhism. I can't even do it fast enough, and it's just like if you're going to do that, what's the point? Why don't I just focus on the Om, then the money? I mean, one thing I like about those is you can feel the vibration in your body. Padme. Hu. Why do I need to repeat that a million times or 10,000 times or any number of times? What should be of an issue of what's aligning here and what's aligning here? The whole point of Buddhist meditation, as I understand it, is not to be sitting on the mat, but to be learning something on the mat that you can get up and walk away with. So call it spirituality, call it whatever you want. Um, okay, that's the point. It needs to be fitting here now in your very real life. And sometimes my very real life was really shitty. And so, guess what? The spirituality was really shitty. We tend to call it religion. And so, deconstruction had to go through some of that. And that's a good thing. And so, what I like about what Lissa Rankin has done in this current environment is kind of twofold. One is pulling back the covers on the bullshit. And we get to determine then whether some of the stuff that's been said to us is of any benefit at all. Because if it's not, get rid of it. Get rid of it. My own mentor, David Berselli, I got rid of his. I mean, I love what he taught me. It healed me. Not in 2 minutes, not in 2 months, not in 2 sessions, not even in 2 years, but it healed me completely. So when I say once and for all, I just mean I had almost 7 years where I tremored and it healed me. Now I'm done. And now to go back to his original website IRL URL, that little thing up here in the bar, trauma prevention. Yeah, baby. So anyway, but the way we were taught initially was so many sessions, and as long as they can show you that they can start it, and they called that self-regulating, start it, end it, know how to rest, they were good to go because trauma healing was do it yourself. And I don't buy that anymore. I don't buy that. So I abandoned it. My program uses the tremoring, but I got away from some of the exercises that generate the tremoring, but I also got away from this 3 or 6 sessions because I didn't do it myself. I didn't. I didn't. Why should I expect anybody else to do what I didn't do? And when you consider the depth of what trauma can do to a human being, especially developmental trauma, we're talking about cognitive, emotion, somatic, let's call it social. How then I express myself in the environment and this spiritual, let's call it consciousness mind, investigating those kinds of aspects. Yeah, all of that in 2 sessions? I'm sorry. No, no, it won't happen. However, on the other side, when we do work with the right tools and we get this thing going, we can we're going to need that kind of life going forward to build a new society. If we want, because I say let these systems collapse, then let's rebuild. Let's get the real stuff, the real living, because an evolved human being, wow, we haven't even seen how amazing that can be. Think about that. Think about that in terms of their cognition, in terms of their emotions, moving out of that into their social life, bringing that forward, let's say taking all of that together into community, um, spiritual, mind, consciousness, how the environment, living in our environment, living with our environment. Think what a world this could be like. Think what would happen to disease. Think what would happen to mental illness. Think about the things that people would spend their time watching and reading. Think about the creativity and the art. Think about the politics, the economy, technology. I mean, we think we have it now. No, we don't. No, we're not even close. This is child's play compared to what we could have. And I like to think about those things, but I know it's going to be, I mean, the context in which the Epstein files exist is going to have to change. Then the stuff within the Epstein files is going to have to be changed. And that's going to require some people who have pulled back the covers on bullshit. I'm a little direct, yeah. But let's call a spade instead of a little hand shovel. Okay. We have to pull the covers back and be real about stuff. Mhm. Your body already contains the path to take you there. But anyway, I just want to say that I'm glad to see that it'll be exciting going forward to some degree. In some degrees, it's going to be tough for people because they're going to have to question their realities. And I think Lissa's aware of that. And I think some others who are in support of that are aware of that. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if this worked or not. Okay. Maybe I just spent 13 minutes talking to myself. In any event, this is Saturday. Have a great weekend and a following week. Bye.